Ram भगवान श्री योगी रामसूरतकुमार की सर्वं योगी रामसूरतकुमारार्पणमस्तु। Dinam dinam. Oh, I forget. So one more gift of grace from the divine beggar, Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar. It is one thing to give us grace even without our doing anything. It's another thing to make us do tapas and give us the benefit. The first one happens only in extreme cases. It's called avyaja karuna, costless grace. But what we need generally is that Bhagwan should make us do tapas and then give us benefit. Because this tapas will bring about a transformation in our thinking. If God gives everything that we want, we will continue to be weak-minded. Things may get done. And how would we know that we would be weak-minded? After He granted 4 things for us that we wanted so much, we would be so happy, we would put Him on the throne and celebrate His presence. But if the 5th time, if there is a lapse, if it can be called so in grace, we would not be able to take it. We are so much used to getting things that we want by grace, then we won't be able to adjust to the vicissitudes of life. There are always sorrows and joys. And so we have to be even more grateful to Bhagwan for making us do this tapas. This 1 hour of Nama Sankirtan together is no small grace, as I always convey. Now today we shall see how this chanting of Nama together helped a devotee out of a very difficult situation. We talk about grace all the time. Unless this grace expresses itself concretely in situations where there is rescue, protection, help and guidance, the way we understand, it's no use talking about grace. Now today we shall see how the grace saved a lady in Mambalam satsang. Sometime back, Mambalam Sri Vishwanathan who's conducting regular satsangs there. I think the third Sunday or something, they keep Nama chanting. And there is a regular devotee, a satsang devotee, by name Srimati Yamuna, who participates regularly. In her house, there was one Lata who was working, who may still be working, and she has 2 children. She has to look after them, bring them up, bear the burden of the family. And she started to work as a maidservant in Srimati Yamuna's place. One day, she found her back aching unusually. It began to increase, and to the point that she began to feel the stress. She was not able to sit, nor could she stand up for long. And slowly, she found it very difficult to do the work, which meant her dropping away from the work, which again in turn meant there would be no income for the family. If she did not work, how could she look after her children? Where is the income? But then she found herself in great stress, unable to continue anymore. It is then that Srimati Yamuna said, Lata must have seen Mrs. Yamuna coming and attending the satsangs, the Nama Sankirtan in Mambalam satsang. So she proposed, why don't you come with the children? Lata is living in Porur. Why don't you come and join? Come to the satsang today. We have this Nama Sankirtan. So from Porur, Lata took both her children and went with Mrs. Yamuna to attend the satsang Nama Sankirtan. On a third Sunday in 2018, every month they have the satsang, the third Sunday. Like everybody else, she came inside. She went and prostrated before Bhagwan's picture and then came straight to Shri Vishwanathan and started to cry. And then she said, look, this is how I suffer. It's very painful, and what's more, I'm unable to do anything. Neither sit nor stand, nor do any work. What could I do? Please pray to Bhagwan. And then Shri Vishwanathan said, okay, Amma, you go join this Nama Sankirtan, you go and sit there and chant Bhagwan's name. Bhagwan will definitely do something. So she joined the chanting. They were chanting and singing the name for nearly 1.5 hours. After that, they had Ashtotra Satam, 108 namas of Bhagwan, which we use here. Puja was over, the Arati. After Arati was done, the prasadam was being distributed to people around. But Lata just got up and went away without taking prasad, without even coming forward to prostrate before Bhagwan. It was strange to everybody, to Mrs. Yamuna, Shri Vishwanathan, but that after some time she returned. She went straight to Bhagwan's photo, prostrated before him, and then came to Sri Vishwanath. Then she explained. She said, when the Nama Sankirtan was going on, she suddenly felt a movement behind her, and then she felt the presence of Bhagwan. She felt that Bhagwan was seated behind her with his both legs stretched. And what was more, he took his right leg and put his foot right on the right shoulder of Lata. And then he gave a strong kick. She was startled. She felt the strong kick of Bhagwan's leg. Just imagine for a moment. What a blessing that Bhagwan should come and sit behind her and bless her with his leg in a strange way, the way it was needed for her condition. He gave her a kick on the neck, on the shoulder, and then he moved his leg straight down the spinal column, right in the middle of the back. He brought it down, and then down there again he gave a very strong kick. She was startled once again. She must have shaken under the impact of his kick. It was pretty strong. And then Bhagwan left. She could feel that also. And slowly she lost her complete thinking. It's not that she became unconscious or anything, but she was so lost in the overwhelming experience of Bhagwan's presence and what followed. She was hardly aware of her surroundings. She was hardly aware that she was seated there with people and this was going on, the puja was going on, the arati was going on. So in that state of mind, she left the place. But then when she came back to herself, the usual self, she returned and then she said, the wonder of wonders, after Bhagwan did all this and left, now I do not have any back pain. The terrible pain that I suffered all along, which incapacitated me, that I was unable to sit down, nor could I stand or do any work. She was crying. The beginning when she came to, that is the beginning of the Nama Sankirtan, when she entered, after prostrating to Bhagwan, she came straight to Vishwanathanji and said, look, please pray to Bhagwan. And she was crying so much. Now again she cried, but this was happy tears. She said, look what Bhagwan has done after this Nama Sankirtan. I have no backache now. I could freely get up. I could freely walk about. I could freely stand here without any back pain. How did it go? How did this miracle happen? She was once again crying, shedding happy tears now. And just imagine putting yourself in her place. It was utter hopelessness when she entered, because in her condition she would have been very soon admitted in a hospital. And imagine the treatment she had to go through, the money that she has to spend when there's no money at all. She has to do a household work to earn her living. But Bhagwan, without anything of the sort, he gave her a huge gift of grace. It's all because of her faith in Bhagwan and the Nama Sankirtan. And we are doing this Nama Sankirtan every day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, 1 hour in the evening. This happened only during Nama Sankirtan. This is a great miracle. And this is something like this is happening to people sometime or the other. We have seen in our own satsang, Facebook satsang, we have seen such people. I don't know if you people remember when a man, the driver who was working in the electricity board nearby, was driving the jeep for all these people working there. Same thing happened from waist downwards. He lost sensation after an accident, was paralyzed. He was unable to earn his living. He had children, wife to look after, month after month after month. Such poverty, there was absolutely no hope at all. But he used to come to the ashram, pray to Bhagwan, chant some time. And then this happened. He was in abject despair. And then one day he was unable to bear. He could not live anymore in utter bitterness. He came in a wheelchair. He came up to the mandap, Swagat mandap, and then he jumped from there. He started to roll on the floor, crying out, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, why have you kept me like this? You would better take my life. What's the use of my living like this? I can't do anything to my wife or children. And then he went round and round this Swagat Mandap like Anga Pradakshina, at the end of which he got worked up so much that he got up and ran to Bhagwan and shouted, what are you doing to me? Why am I like this? And suddenly he became aware that he had walked all the way to Bhagwan and he was standing there on his own without any support and was scolding Bhagwan. Imagine his state. So such miracles are happening in some rare cases where there is desperation, hopelessness, and utter need for survival. But then, even as we listen to such miracles from people, even as we appreciate their faith and the gift of grace from Bhagwan, we should also remember the greatest miracle is our own transformation. We should get transformed into thinking of God all the time, incessantly. Bhagwan had often said, the goal of life is only God. It's only when you remember God, you truly live. When you forget God, you are dead. You may still be breathing and you may still move about. You may eat, go to sleep and do work. If there is no remembrance of God, you are not serving the purpose of life, for which God has given you this body and this life. So the greatest miracle that Bhagwan could do is your own transformation. Becoming more and more sattvic, becoming less and less fault-finding, becoming less and less angry. There must be less fear, less anger, less jealousy, and it must get lesser and lesser and lesser. And finally, the Nama chanting, your remembrance of God, and your practicing being a tool in His hand, must make you sattvic. Your tamasic and rajasic qualities must drop out, and we must become sattvic. This transformation is the greatest miracle which Bhagwan is prepared to do to us. But we have to work hard. We have to submit ourselves to His will and practice and practice and practice with great self-effort to remember Him, to remember His name all the time, at least as much as possible. And go with the awareness that I am His instrument. I must become a fitting instrument in His hands. He must use me like He would use His hand. He must use me like He would use His legs. He must use me like He would use His mouth. I must become an instrument. My every thought, word and deed must be governed by Him. He must take over. He must take over my body, my mind, my intellect, my spirit. And ultimately, I must become one with Him. And that is when we can become Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Before that, if anybody says, I am Yogi Ramsuratkumar, how can you believe it? You can only be a tool in His hand. You can only be an instrument. Unless the transformation is complete and we become one with Him, when the individual in us, the selfishness in us, dies. Bhagwan has said, Father enters only when there is no selfishness. Even if there is a trace of selfishness, Father would not enter. So, how do we tackle the selfishness? By doing seva to other people without any expectation, by serving other people. You serve yourself also, serve your own family people, and serve others also, without any expectations. And when you serve, we have to serve in the spirit that we are serving Bhagwan Himself. So we don't expect anything from others. And with the feeling that Bhagwan is using me as an instrument, He is working through me. Or if we should think by force of habit, I am doing it, I am doing seva, then you offer it to Him. Okay, I am doing seva, but I am offering my seva to Him. This I must be accompanied by Him. Now this Bhagwan, let us beg Him to give us, to do the greatest miracle, the miracle of all miracles, the transformation. Let us pray to Bhagwan to become more and more sattvic with Nama chanting and practice of His presence. And we shall now submit our today's prayers. Bhagwan, kindly enter some vaccine that would kill this